She was an officer in the Navy, mayor of LaPorte, and now she's working in the highest levels of Indiana state government. Yes, we have Blair Milo on our show. You had better stay with us. Running a business requires smart decisions every day. Make a good decision for your company today and reach other businesses by sponsoring Lakeshore Focus. People who watch our show are an active part of the community. They care about their neighborhoods, schools, and their homes. Are these viewers your customers? Well, they should be. To learn about all the benefits of sponsoring Lakeshore Focus, give us a call at 219-756-5656. And instead of seeing my face, you can see your business. Welcome again to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting the key issues, important events, and interesting people in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. Our guest today has been a rising star for quite a while. Everywhere she goes, she leaves her mark. When the governor of Indiana asked her to take a new and important leadership role in state government, she left her job as mayor of LaPorte, Indiana, and heeded the call. She's Blair Milo, Secretary of Career Connections and Talent for the state of Indiana. Thanks for coming here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be back.
You squeezed this in your busy schedule, so that I feel honored.
Absolutely. Well, I always love getting to chat with you.
Well, I think you like coming back home to this area.
That's very true as well.
But you're still living. This is home, right?
Yes. I still have a house in LaPorte that I am at very regularly, and so it's great to be able to go back home because it truly is home from a community sense of all the people that are a part of LaPorte and across Northwest Indiana, and it's just fabulous to now get to travel the state and get to interact with a lot of folks in a lot of different ways, but yet still be able to come back home.
Is it okay if I call you a rising star?
I will absolutely accept that. Thank you.
Well, I think that's really true. We'll talk about that a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the decision that you faced when the governor called and said, I need you in a state leadership position, and you're the current mayor of LaPorte. What was that process of deciding?
Well, it was certainly an unexpected conversation that came about. That I've had the great privilege of getting to know Governor Holcomb for a few years, and that we had spent some time a few years back that we were traveling to different co-working spaces primarily. That this was during a time frame that I was a co-chair for his Senate campaign, and we were doing what we called solutions workshops. And so we were working with people in co-working spaces to talk through some of the challenges that they were seeing from an entrepreneurial standpoint. And a lot of times the conversation would come back to workforce development and the pipeline process for people being able to recruit and attract the talent that they needed from a coworker or co-working space perspective of that you're at the sort of fledgling state for a lot of new businesses, and so people were at this point of wanting to be able to expand, but then concern about how are they going to have access to some of the people that they need and the skills that would be applied for that talent.
Because even more critical when you're a startup. I mean, because you might only have one or two people and they need to be really good, right?
Right, absolutely. And so we've been having conversations for a few years around this topic of workforce development, talent pipelines, and how we are connecting up our population with a changing world of work.
So you knew you were interested in this for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And we've just had a lot of those conversations about what solutions may look like, and then adjustments along the way, because the world of work keeps shifting in a fascinating way, but it is very dynamic. And so that's also been chief amongst the challenge areas that we saw in the city of LaPorte, that we were growing jobs because we had done a considerable amount with the state of Indiana of growing our business attractiveness climate. And so we were growing jobs considerably with our business partners, and oftentimes I would hear from employers of that, they're looking to grow the business, make further investments in the community, and have more jobs. But the big concern was, can I get people into these jobs that are being created.
So you're kind of the poster child for job creation? Is that what you're saying?
Well, maybe in an ironic sense.
Maybe
in
not
some
child,
ways,
but,
right? Right. Well, I still fancy myself a kid at heart always.
Okay, there you go.
And I had the privilege of serving on the State Workforce Innovation Council that I was appointed by then Governor Pence, and served as the local government representative on what's known as the SWIC. And so I've been involved in this conversation for a few years and seen it as a chief area of concern, but also opportunity. That, I mean, as far as challenges to have, the fact that we are growing jobs and just need to connect people up to that opportunity, I think are good challenges for us to be able to face, so that then we are just now working on making some of those connection points possible for our people overall. So as I was presented with the topic that originally I had a chance to meet with the governor and his team and talk through a little bit about their idea of what this position would be, and talk through a little bit of then how this would all come together. We worked through what the title would be, which then, while it is a lot of words in one title, it is designed to share exactly what the result is for Hoosiers individually and for the state, of career connections that helps serve our people, and that the career connections then feeds into our talent pipelines, that when we can do the best job that we can of making those career connections for all Hoosiers, then it makes Indiana an incredibly attractive place for people to want to stay or come to if they haven't had the great fortune to be born a Hoosier.
Let me back up the story a little bit. It sounds like the governor kind of had this idea at first, and then he engaged you in the development of it, and then he asked you?
Well, we talked through the idea with his team about what some of the needs are, because of there are all these different elements that play a role in talent attraction and the career connections piece. And so the position is a new position, and to our knowledge, we haven't found any other state that has created anything like this. And in fact, we're having conversations with folks from foundations that are outside of Indiana, from states, other states across the country, that are interested in looking at what it is that we're doing, because it is very different and speaks to the collaboration that needs to exist across this space of career connections. And so we talked through having a position that then really does elevate the importance of this by having it be a cabinet level position, and yet is not, I don't manage programs that are a part of the Department of Workforce Development. I don't administer grants, that I truly work across all the different agencies. I work with the Department of Workforce Development, with the Commission on Higher Education, with the Department of Education, with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
You're not bogged down by the bureaucracy.
Right. And
that's a good move.
It's fascinating that then I think it's been very helpful, because it helps grow the collaboration amongst all these different agencies. And now the new governor's workforce cabinet will even enhance that further, because the other component of then what I get to do is that I am very outward facing, and so I get to travel extensively across the state to work with communities, with regions, with employers, and all the different stakeholders that are a part of building career connections and our talent pipelines.
And you love that part of it.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to get to see all the really creative things that are happening in many communities, and to then have the conversations with folks who are aware of some of the pain points, but may not necessarily have been connected up with some of the themes that other communities may see being successful, and to help them build some of the relationships that then can build that capacity.
Well, talk a little bit about the decision-making process for you, or kind of what went through your head or in your heart when you said, I'm going to leave this job as mayor, because you were getting some pretty good notoriety on a national basis for being this young, dynamic mayor of the city. So you were giving that up to go to something else. Talk a little bit about kind of what went through your head.
Well, I'd like to think that I make the decisions of career aspects and work that I do based on work that I can do, not necessarily something that I can be. And as we were doing things in LaPorte and seeing tremendous success in a lot of ways, it really was this our chief challenge area in our community, and as I talked with other mayors, of significant concern of how do we address this at a large level, because we understand some of the inputs into this system that may need to be adjusted are not necessarily ones that always exist just within the realm of the local government. That's a key part of the solutions, but it takes a partnership with the state and with regions and a number of other players. And I loved being mayor, and I love my community, which is why I still live there. And so it was in some ways a difficult decision to make, but I also saw that if I was going to be able to help serve this challenge area, that this was a better way to be able to do that, because this is serving one of the biggest pain points that we were having for our community and others as well, and then being able to just serve more people and do good with a great team, with Governor Holcomb, who is a tremendous leader, and the team of talent that he has surrounded himself with, and an appetite for innovation amongst everyone to be able to say, what do we need to adjust, and how can we think about some of these challenges differently so that we can set Indiana ahead of what not only other states are doing, but other countries are doing in this space as the world of work keeps changing.
It's really interesting you answer that question about taking this job more than with words, but with the passion that you have for this issue. I mean, you keep coming back to how important this issue is, and you can tell you believe it in your heart that this is really important. Why is this so important for our state to make these career connections and attract talent?
Well, at the individual level, that when you think about when you connect someone up with something that they're passionate about, that the world that you unlock for that individual to not only have the dignity that comes with work, but then to be able to do work that someone is passionate about because they're talented in that capability, in that capacity, is just phenomenal to see the good that it releases for that individual, for their family, for the community, in so many different ways. And there's a whole host of different ways for someone to be able to unleash that talent for themselves and to be able to apply that in a sense of work. For the state of Indiana, we have seen some shifts in our economy as we've seen our business attractiveness continue to climb, and that we have done tremendous work over the last dozen or so years of building the economic climate across our state so that we have grown jobs considerably. And now the next piece for us to do is to ensure that we are connecting people up with those opportunities. Those opportunities look a little different than what they have previously, because technology and a global marketplace, amongst other generational factors, are certainly playing a role in changing first some of the tasks within certain jobs, but over a quicker amount of time, it's going to change the nature of total jobs. And at the moment, we have around 85,000 postings that we see of jobs that employers across Indiana are looking to hire people for. Now, I say postings because that doesn't necessarily indicate a vacancy, that there may be postings that somebody leaves up because they see turnover at times and they just want to have a continued access to talent. But so that's a considerable amount of people that employers are looking for, though.
But even though some of those jobs may not be an immediate need, there's a whole level of jobs that are not posted either.
Right.
Because almost every time I talk to an employer, they're like, we're always looking for good people. You never hear anybody say, we're not looking for anybody.
Right.
And they're always looking for good talent.
Well, currently Indiana has a 3.2% unemployment rate, and we've continued to see our labor force participation increase. That I think the United States as a whole is at about 4.1 or 4.2%, and so that's an indicator of a very strong economy. And we see our businesses growing, looking to make further investments. So they're looking to grow jobs, and because Indiana has done so much with growing the business attractiveness, that we're seeing more and more businesses want to locate in in Indiana. And so that's where we are at this point where we want to make sure that we are connecting people up with the skills that those employers need, particularly as some of the tasks within jobs are changing with the influence of technology and the global marketplace overall.
There's a lot of changes going on, that's for sure. I'm going to use you as a case study here real quick.
Okay.
So what's your talent?
Well, I'd like to think that I have a few different talents. One of the things that I'm very passionate about, and I guess maybe I have a talent for, is leadership and working with teams to develop, to understand what different talents are amongst the different members of the team and think through how do we deploy those interests and passions of the various team members towards the common mission that we're all working towards.
An interesting talent to help people discover their talent. That's a good one. So, for our people up in this viewing area, what kind of jobs, if you were giving some recommendations, we've had this strong industrial base up here, this strong manufacturing base. The world's changing. Where do you see Northwest Indiana trying to reposition itself, particularly for jobs and talent? What do you think?
Well, there are certainly nuances across different regions of the state, but we see in all areas that our top 5 high-wage, high-demand sectors are the health and life sciences area, the business and IT, advanced manufacturing, and transportation, distribution, logistics, and building and construction trades. And those are all areas where there's incredible opportunity to be had, and as I said, they're high-wage and high demand for those positions.
So what does that mean for me if I've been in manufacturing for 25 years and I can clearly see the workforce where I'm at is shrinking and other jobs like I'm doing right now are disappearing? What do you say to somebody like me?
Well, the tasks change within certain jobs, and there is a huge need for us to really grow the culture of lifelong learning. And as the needs of certain positions are changing and the needs of certain jobs are changing, then the ability to adapt, to then to take on new skill sets, to be able to serve in different function areas is crucial as we move forward. And
so do you mean I have to go back to school?
I mean that there is a need to continue receiving training, whether it is going back to school or doing earn and learn opportunities. So a number of our employers are adopting different types of training programs internally and partnering with educational institutions as those needs are changing, and they're changing more rapidly than ever before. So the earn and learn model is critical for us to continue moving forward with.
So a great thing for me to say when I'm interviewing or talking to somebody is, I'm willing to learn new things. I want to learn new things.
Absolutely, and I've read a number of reports that show that anywhere from 9 to I think up to 60% of the jobs that a student that's in kindergarten today will take when they enter the workforce, those jobs don't yet exist. So that's been a part of then our thought process of how do we shape an educational system that is connected to the employer base and to industry that is going to equip those students and our adults then with the skills needed when we can't know exactly what those jobs are going to look like. So what does somebody need that they can say in an interview that they have the skills for? Critical thinking, for problem solving, communication, adaptability, and the ability to work with a team, the ability to think through different types of situations, to adapt as needed. All things that technology can't take the place of.
But attitudinally, we need people who will say, I can change, I can adapt, and I want to learn, or I understand I need to keep learning.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's a huge piece for people to want to keep gaining skills and looking at what the new skills are that they need to have. And then I think it's upon our educational and business sector and government and communities to ensure that we provide access to those kinds of learning environments for individuals who are going to adopt that attitude to be able to have access to the education education and the skills training that's needed.
Well, it seemed like the governor picked the right person for this job because you sure seem to understand it very well.
Well, I find it also fascinating, and when we get this all correct of being able to connect people up to those different types of training opportunities, that when you see the joy that it releases in an individual to be able to connect up with something that they're good at, and to find the passion and how it all fits within a system is just fascinating. And it's especially fun for me when I get to see it with people that are doing things that I have zero interest in, and that some of the areas of like math and science have never been my strong suit. And so I'm so glad when I can see people connect up with those kinds of opportunities. And it's just fascinating to see how you find that spark for an individual and then be able to make the connection for them.
So where does Blair Milo see herself going into the future with her talent? Mm-hmm. So where are you going? You know, I hear people talk about you being this rising star and this person who could probably be in a great leadership role. What do you think about that?
I'm very thankful for the opportunity I have right now, that getting to work with Governor Holcomb, who is put a ton of his insight and effort into this focus on building a 21st century workforce, is just a tremendous opportunity for me to learn from him and to learn from the other leaders I get to work with. That I have such tremendous respect for Commissioner Lubbers, who's the Commissioner of Higher Education, for Commissioner Fred Payne, who is the Commissioner for Department of Workforce Development, for Elaine Beadle, who is at the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, and Jim Schellinger, who's the Secretary of Commerce. And so where all that takes me, I don't necessarily know. I've also learned through some certain experiences in my life that I may have a plan for my life that is not necessarily in plans with where God may be wanting to take me. And so I work on being able to try and find what the answer to that call is, and just appreciate every opportunity that I have along the way. And I had a great piece of advice that Governor Mitch Daniels, now President Mitch Daniels at Purdue University, shared with me at one point. He says, you know, Blair, I've found that as long as you do the best job that you can in the job that you're in, then opportunity presents itself at the right time. So just always focus on doing the best job that you can. And I think that that's very important for doing the kind of the work that I want to do, of getting things done, not necessarily being something. And then, you know, things will come together as they need to.
So we shouldn't be surprised if one day we hear that they've nominated you for governor or some higher office, perhaps?
I never could have imagined that I'd get to serve as mayor of LaPorte, and let alone that I'd get to now come and do the things that I'm doing and learn all the various different pieces about the changing nature of work, and be so energized by all of it. And the position that I'm in now didn't exist before I got to fill it, so I never could have predicted that this would be a job I get to take. So it's all a part of the adventure.
So I guess we all just have to watch and wait and see what happens to Blair Milo, huh?
I'm as anxious as anyone to find that out.
Well, thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate you driving up here and taking time, because I know you have a lot of good friends in this region, and
Absolutely.
A lot of people who think very highly of you. So
Well,
thanks for being
I think
here.
very highly of everyone across the region, so I thank you for the opportunity to come back.
You bet. Thanks. When I was growing up, I would hear people say, "Oh, he's so talented." It usually was referencing abilities in athletics or performing arts. "You should see him play. He is so talented. Have you heard her sing? She is really talented." Yet the definition of talent is broader. It's about a natural aptitude which could apply to anything. An individual might be talented in welding, programming, sales, event planning, or organizing. If you can do something naturally and well, you have talent. I think there is an assumption when you have a natural aptitude, you are good at it and enjoy doing it. Therefore, you will excel. Are you talented? Or better, what is your talent? I believe there is a talent in every person. Everyone is surely good at something. Each person has at least one thing he or she can do, or for which a natural aptitude exists. The challenge is how to discover your talent. What if you discover it, but no one affirms or validates it for you? Worse, you find your talent and people tell you that you are really not good at it. Perhaps their motivation to be negative is jealousy, fear, or simply mean. Now you go through life feeling as if you have no talent, not one. When we are not trying to discover our own talent, we are looking for others who are talented. We need them as employees and volunteers, on boards and committees, in teams and work groups. Imagine this. Every coworker at your job is talented. Think of how much more productive, efficient, and effective your organization would be. How about all of us go on a talent search? That's what Blair Milo, our guest, is doing. We can help her. First, we determine what our individual talents are, then we help others do the same. If everyone viewed themselves as being talented in some way, what an impact that would have around us, within our state, and throughout the world. I vow this week to select one person and help him or her to discover a talent. How about you doing the same? We hope you enjoyed the show and will take the assignment of a talent search seriously. We would like to hear from you. Your comments are helpful, whether about the show or how successful your talent hunt was. On your screen, you will see our website and email address, which are ways to reach us. Focus shows are available after airing. Check our website and YouTube. If you subscribe to our Facebook page, you will be notified of upcoming guests and content. Be sure and join us again next week for another Lakeshore Focus. Until then, I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today. Running a business requires smart decisions every day. Make a good decision for your company today and reach other businesses by sponsoring Lakeshore Focus. People who watch our show are an active part of the community. They care about their neighborhoods, schools, and their homes. Are these viewers your customers? Well, they should be. To learn about all the benefits of sponsoring Lakeshore Focus, give us a call at 219-756-5656. And instead of seeing my face, you can see your business.